Hello and welcome to the Food Truck Interest Meeting for the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated's Conclave Family Outing Event, which is going to be held on Saturday, July 22nd from 12 noon to 5 p.m. at Julian B. Lane Riverfront Park. By joining or participating in this interest meeting, we will be going over some of the ins and outs so that you can understand the full scope of what is being asked of by our food truck vendors to support this event. The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting their 86th annual Grand Chapter meeting, also referred to as their conclave here in Tampa, Florida. This event will bring thousands of folks from all over the world into the city of Tampa, and so we are excited about the opportunities that it presents for local business owners like yourself. I am Jeanette Horch-Smith, the CEO of Dash Marketing, and we are the hired event management entity for the family outing event, and we will be your go-to as you work towards supporting this event. If you don't hear from me, you may hear from Joey Henderson, who is the project manager assigned specifically to managing our relations with all of our food truck vendors and affiliates. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Joey throughout the process, and we certainly are here to help. I also want to make sure you all know that the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is excited about your interest in participating and supporting their events. They are looking forward to providing a great experience for everyone who comes. This family outing event is open to the public. Tickets are going to be pre-sold, so you will have members of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity and their family here, as well as members of the Hillsborough County, Tampa Bay community at large present as well, and folks traveling in. This event will include an outdoor concert. It will include vendors, sponsor stations, kid zone areas. And so we are really excited about its potential to attract about 7,500 to 10,000 people throughout the Bay Area to come to this event. So as I mentioned, there are going to be several different amenities, but your job as the food trucks and the food service entities is extremely important. One thing we know as an event management company is no matter how great the event, the food has to be better. And so we want to make sure, and the reason we're doing this is so that you can understand very clearly, one, what the requirements are as it pertains to you being able to vend on the grounds of Tampa Parks and Recs, and then also what the expectations are as a part of this experience that we are creating for our guests so that folks walk away having a great time, a full belly, and looking forward to the next event hosted by the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. So some things that we will go over in this informational session are the goals, expectations, setup and departure logistics, the selection process, and then any questions that we have received and that you may have as well. So our goals, one, we are only looking to select 8 food truck vendors. Because of the spacing where the food trucks will be located, what we were calling food truck alley, there are only enough space for about 8 vendors. And so we are collecting applications and doing this process so that we can have our finalist for the organization to pick which 8 they so choose. We are looking for food truck vendors that have the capacity to serve comfortably up to 2,000 to 3,000 people. And this, of course, is over the span of 12 to 5 p.m. We are looking for partners who can deliver a timely service, who are offering good customer service, most importantly, who have great food, and who is able to, again, support our effort to provide a positive experience. One thing we know is that no matter the situation, if you are providing good service, good food, the food is coming out in a timely manner, there's some good management and flow there, then we are sure to have a hit event. And so again, we want to be very clear on what those expectations are. So we are charging a $750 food truck vendor registration fee. $350 of that is refundable. So there is a registration fee for food vendors. It's a $750 registration fee. And once you are checked in to say that you've arrived, and then once you are checked out by one of our designated volunteers, making sure that you have abided by all of the protocols, which will not yield any expense to the organization, then you will receive a $300 refundable deposit. So out of pocket, your cost in participating in this event is $450. So a $750 deposit is owed if you are selected as one of the 8 vendors. And then again, upon checking out of the event is when you would be rendered the refund, as long as you have properly disposed of your gray water and abided to all of the requirements to not incur any costs to the organization. We also are looking for vendors who have technology capacity. You must have a way to keep a smart device, whether it's a phone or a tablet, something that does have internet connection, needs to be charged and readily available. Because what will happen is that all of the members of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity and their family members or special guests will have, one, special wristbands, but then two, they will have ticket vouchers, food vouchers. Those vouchers may range anywhere between $15 to $20, and we're leaning a bit more toward the $20 side of things. But we will require that you, as the food vendor, when they come up to your window to place their order, you are scanning with your smart device, scanning the QR code to redeem their food voucher. And so the ticketing system that we are using is called Myle, M-Y-L-E. And once we select our vendors, we will go through a hands-on Myle training so that you're very comfortable and knowledgeable about how the technology works. But we are expecting you to have the device that is able to facilitate the scanning of those ticket vouchers. And on the back end, it is able to then calculate how many vouchers you redeemed in order to receive your equivalent in that payment for those vouchers in your service and your food capacities. We are also expecting that you have enough staff on site to meet the demand. So knowing that we anticipate you could be serving anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000. If you're a fan favorite, that could range to 6,000, right? But we want to make sure that you have adequate staff. And then we also are going to ask that you send us prior to the event, probably a week prior to the event. We will need all of your staff members' names, emails, and license plate numbers. And the reason being is because we are going to have a designated parking lot for our food vendors, and you will not be able to access that parking lot unless you have a parking permit. So not only you as the owner, but any of your support staff who are working the event to support your efforts, we will need their names if you are selected, and their information if you are selected to be one of the vendors. Also, we are asking that all of the food truck vendors have an established express lane for members of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity and their special guests. At the end of the day, this event, this week long of events, is to celebrate the organization, and we want to make sure that they are treated as our VIPs. All of the members of the organization are the VIPs for this event. We will provide rope and stanchion for each food truck to go in front of your line so that there's a clear division between your general line patrons and then the express line for the members of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity and their families. We do ask that you serve them as if it's a preferred line, of course, being equivalent and providing a pleasant experience to those in the general public line as well. But we want to make sure that that line is created so that the members of the organization are being given some special treatment as the host of this event. As I stated before, this is a kind of guaranteed sales event. We do anticipate a couple thousand, approximately 3,000, if not more, will already have pre-purchased ticket vouchers. And so there is a guarantee that you will make a return on your investment as a featured food vendor for this event. Those food vouchers will range either from $15 to $20. We will make that decision a bit closer to the event date, which is why on our interest application, we did ask each of you to outline a preset menu. What we would like for you to do is to have preset menu options inclusive of an entree and a drink, so that when folks come up specifically through that express line, they're able to look at what is the menu option that will allow them to use their food voucher and not need anything additional. It is totally up to you if you want to offer substitution options, or if you want to redeem the voucher and then they can pay in addition to whatever exceeds the amount of that voucher. But we want to make sure that each of the food vendors has a preset menu specifically geared toward our voucher holders for an easy ordering process. And then it is required that all of our food truck vendors properly transport away from the park grounds and dispose of your brown water as well as your oil. If it is found that you have not transported it off of the property grounds and disposed of it properly, then you will not receive your refundable deposit, because that will then become an additional expense to the organization to handle whatever or remedy whatever damage that may have caused or breach of contract it may result in with the Tampa Parks and Recs. So we are asking that you properly transport and dispose of your own brown water and oils as necessary. And then there are requirements around licensing, certifications, and insurances that I'm going to go over in the next slides. And these are the requirements for you to even be able to set up on the grounds at Riverfront Park in order to support our event. So per the City of Tampa food truck vending requirements, we are going to require proof of the following documents. So that way we know that you have what it takes to participate according to the city's requirements. One is the proof of general and automotive liability with a policy number. No need for the whole binder. We just need to see that you have that. It shows the expiration date has not yet occurred. So that could be a picture. It could be, and I'll go over how you're going to submit this information to us while we're right now in our pre-screening process. We want to make sure that before we bring any food truck vendor options to the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity to select from, we already know that those vendors also have these requirements to meet the City of Tampa's needs in order to be able to facilitate services during the event. So another thing that we will be asking for is a copy of the truck's State of Florida Department of Business Regulations Division of Hotels and Restaurant license, and that must be current. Also, we will need a copy of the truck's business tax documentation, and this may be from any city or county within the state of Florida. So if you're located in St. Pete or Miami, if you're located anywhere within the state of Florida, that's fine. We just simply need a copy of your truck's business tax documentation. We will also need a copy of the truck owner's food safety professional manager certification from the state of Florida. So please make sure that you have those documents. And then on your food truck, when you come to serve, we want to make sure that you have a current and working fire extinguisher. Failure to have proof of these things on the date of the event could result in the fire marshal and or a representative from Tampa Parks and Recs saying that you are not properly licensed to serve. And so for that reason, we are going to be asking for a copy of these documents before we even select our vendors, so we do not run into a rut of having selected vendors who are not qualified or have the proper documentation to set up shop on Tampa Parks and Recs. grounds. So if you have any questions about the licensing credentials or any questions about where to attain those, or if what you have will meet the recommendations or requirements, please reach out to Scott Aker. Scott Aker is the Fire Watch Coordinator who works right in the office of the Fire Marshal, who has been a part of all of our special event planning meetings with the City of Tampa. And so he stands by and stands ready to serve as a resource. Joey and I are not qualified professionals in this realm about licensing for food trucks. And so we ask that you direct all of your licensing credential questions or points of clarification to Scott Aker. And then if there is any additional information you need as it may pertain to the general event logistics or day of, or just general questions, then certainly feel free to reach out to myself or Joey Henderson, and we will be as much of a resource to you as possible. So the selection process, we are asking that folks complete and submit the application and provide photos or copies of the required attachments. We were hoping that by now that would be done, but we are going to extend this from March 29th to April 29th. So we are extending this another month. So you have till April 29th in order to submit this secondary credentialing, food truck credentialing screening, if you are interested in continuing along the process of being a potential featured vendor at the family outing. We do plan to make our initial selection of vendors notified that you have been selected and or have not been selected by May 13th. Okay, and so that way you know very well how to plan ahead. So if you have any questions, if there's anything that we can assist you with, please feel free to reach out to us. Myself and Joey can be reached from the email address and or the information listed on wherever you are finding this informational session recording. We want to say thank you all so much for your interest. We are being very diligent in putting this information out well in advance of the event date, so that way we can secure diverse participation in this event. The Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated is committed to being a conscious consumer of their dollars, as well as the economic impact that their event will have on the city of Tampa. And so we certainly hope that you are able to join us in creating this memorable experience. I also want to share on my screen what your next steps will look like. And what that looks like is completing, as I mentioned before, our credential verification form. So please go to the link that is included where you are finding this video. And your next step is to now complete this form with your name, email, phone number, name of your food truck. We want to know if you attended the informational session that was on May 8th, which was the one we did live. I will add an option here to also be able to select that you may have watched this virtual recording. We want you to confirm that you would be comfortable accepting a QR code. What I would suggest, again, being able to make sure you have adequate staffing, is that you have someone dedicated to the Kappa Express line that will be accepting the food vouchers, right? So not one person cooking, accepting vouchers, running food. Please make sure you are adequately staffed in order to have a seamless process and experience. We also want you to confirm that you agree to dispose and transport away your brown water and oil. And then here is where you can upload copies. We are not requiring that they are photocopies. You can use your smartphone, take a picture, and simply upload that just to show us that you have the credentials. And then, of course, make sure that you have all of those things, if you are selected, on site with you when you arrive, in case you are then screened by the City of Tampa and or the Fire Marshal. So these are your next steps if you would like to continue along the process of being considered as a food truck vendor. Another question that came up when we hosted this training live was, what are the setup kind of parameters for the actual space and is parking close to where the food truck vendors will be. In order to answer that, I'm going to try to do somewhat of a Google Map walkthrough. So bear with me here. So in order to give you a visual of what the spacing and parking proximity looks like, I am going to do a Google Maps kind of walkthrough. This is the main entrance of the Julian B. Lane Riverfront Park. This will be where your food truck will enter if you are selected. And this will be the parking lot that you will be privy to. There is another parking lot located within walking distance that we will have your staff park at. But for any vehicle that you may need to have close, we know some of you have trailers, and so you might have some extra ice or just extra supplies that you want to leave more so in your vehicle and only bring out as needed. Those vehicles would be able to be parked within this parking lot area. Now, for the actual food trucks, the food trucks will be parked all alongside of this sidewalk right in front of these palm trees. So where you see this truck in the distance, this is kind of what we are calling food truck alley. And so you will have a designated space, and again, only up to 8 food truck vendors will be selected, and you will park. And so we will have we will have a staggered arrival schedule. So when we confirm who we would like to feature, it is going to be important that we understand what your load-in requirements look like. If it's a trailer that's being pulled on a truck, we might need to get you in first so that you're not stuck in between 2 food trucks who have plugged in and cannot move. So please note that you'll have parking available here. For those that are food trucks, these are ballards. So when we designate your load-in time, we will coordinate that with the city of Tampa, and these ballards will be lowered so that you can drive onto the pavement and park in the dedicated space for your food truck. So if you have any questions, or if you feel that you need any special accommodations, those are things that we will discuss once we've determined if you would be featured as a featured food truck vendor during this event. I also want to make sure that I mention that we are going to be So if you have any questions that have not been answered, please feel free to reach back out. You can reach Joey at joey@marketingllc.com. And you can also reach out to me, Jeanette, at marketingllc.com. You can also contact me directly at 813-523-9301. Thank you again for taking the time to tune in to this informational session. We look forward to receiving your credential verification application and hopefully working with you soon. Have a wonderful day.